It's the month of February, the month of love, as they say. And what I love most in my own life is teaching and research. So this month we're going to talk about both topics. You're going to get to meet 3 really interesting faculty members. In addition to Valentine's Day, we celebrated this month for the Love of Gatton, an event which celebrates our 95th year. Students, faculty and staff and alumni stopped by to share their love of Gatton College.
What I love about Gatton is the faculty and staff. They care about the students here.
I always see my friends just hanging out in the atrium. It's great.
What I love about Gatton is all the support that I get from everyone here.
What I love about Gatton is the faculty and staff.
What I love about Gatton is being able to make a difference in the next generation of students.
What do we love about Gatton?
Free cupcakes!
I love the professors. It's a very happy environment.
What do I love about Gatton? All of my friends.
What I love about Gatton is the staff.
I love being in charge of Gatton College. Sorry, Simon.
What I love about Gatton, I guess everything.
What we love about Gatton is all the free stuff.
I'm joined today by David Hasler. David is the Vice President of Retail Strategy for G4S Retail Solutions. He's also the founder and president of Breakthrough Solutions Consulting. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Well, glad to be here.
So this semester, David, you're the Jeffrey H. Rosenberger Executive in Residence in Ethics.
Yeah, big title.
It's a big title. I want to do a shout out to Jeff Rosenberger. Thank you, sir, for your generosity. Jeff is the chair of the Dean's Advisory Council and gives back to the school in many ways. So you're teaching an upper level class in ethics.
Yes.
So what are you hoping the students will learn from your class?
When in class we try to dispel a couple of myths about business. When you think about Adam Smith and his Wealth of Nations and that invisible hand, the holy scripture of business, thou shalt not touch or regulate business. That's really taken out of context. And so when you look back on Adam Smith's life, he wrote a work much earlier than that called The Theory of Moral Sentiments, where he talks about how societies need to include a system of fairness and justice, but also this thing called beneficence, which is sympathy and empathy. And he had always intended for the invisible hand to be tethered to some moral base, and we leave that part out. So we spend time talking about those kinds of things in class so that they know that business was always intended to be moral, always intended to be ethical. That's the way it should have been from the start, and we give them the tools to be able to do that.
And then you do a large simulation about an issue that's of ethical importance.
We're trying to create a sort of a UN forum where we're going to help them understand how complicated ethics is on an international scale. It's complicated enough in your own country, but when you start mixing in other cultures, it gets even more complicated. So we're going to give them some hands-on experience doing that.
David, thank you for sharing your insights today on ethics. It was a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Wonderful to meet you.
I'm now joined by Chuck Courtemanche, an associate professor in economics and the interim director for the Institute for the Study of Free Enterprise. Welcome, Chuck.
Right. Thank you, Simon.
So, for the viewers, Chuck, please explain what the Institute for the Study of Free Enterprise does.
So the Institute for the Study of Free Enterprise's mission is just to understand the role that markets play in the economy and in society through student engagement, through events and contests and other programs, and also through faculty research.
That's great. So in terms of the Institute's interaction with students, an exciting upcoming event is Darshak Patel's Econ Games. Tell us about those.
Well, this is, Darshak calls it Intern for a Day event. And so there's students from across several different universities competing, and they're going to be using real world data from a real company. And this year it's Kroger who's actually providing real sales data, and they're going to be analyzing that, so combining statistics and business and in a competition format.
I'm so personally excited about this opportunity that I plan to analyse the data myself, but I won't enter the competition. Now, you talked about research. Tell us about your research areas.
So my research, really the overarching theme is using large data sets and statistical methods to examine the effects of government policies and business decisions.
And I understand your research on Obamacare has been quoted by both sides of the argument.
That's right.
So explain to us how that works.
We found pretty clear evidence documenting the gains in insurance coverage from Obamacare, and also evidence that a lot of the people who are enrolling in Medicaid expansion don't appear to actually be income eligible. If you study these hot button issues long enough, you end up getting cited on both sides of the debate.
Thank you, Chuck. It's been a pleasure
Absolutely.
to talk with you today.
Thank you.
I'm joined by Kristine Hankins, the William E. Seal Associate Professor of Finance here at Gatton College. Welcome, Kristine.
Thanks so much for having me, Simon.
Our pleasure. So, your research appeared in January in the Harvard Business Review. It was about why are companies sitting on so much cash? More than $4 trillion.
Yes. What's interesting is not only how much cash they're holding, but how much it has increased over the last 2 to 3 decades. There's been a huge run-up in cash in U.S. non-financial corporations, and the question is why? A lot of times we think about firms holding cash as sort of an excellent insurance policy. No matter what happens in the broader economy, what's happening in their product market, having cash allows them to respond instantaneously to new investment opportunities. And what we found is that it's really not an even distribution of this big run-up. What's happened is certain firms are holding most of this cash, and more importantly, they're holding it overseas in foreign subsidiaries. And so by doing that, it allows them to reduce their taxes in the US, hold that cash abroad, and it's no longer really sort of a takeover target story.
You're also involved in the University of Kentucky Finance Conference, which runs in April.
I am.
It's another thing that really builds the profile of the Department of Finance, the Gatton College, and the University of Kentucky.
It really has been a wonderful thing as far as raising our visibility. That's why we started it. That was the original goal. But part of why it's been so successful is not only the hard work of all the people that have helped review papers, but really being in Lexington, and they can see what a great area this is.
Yes, what a wonderful place to live it is.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Kristine, for joining me today. It's been a great pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So this month we're having several workshops and a number of guest speakers. Notable amongst the guest speakers is Stephen Forbes from the Forbes Media Group. On Thursday, February 27, we're hosting the 10th Annual Supply Chain Forum. I'm actually getting to speak. I've only got 20 minutes, so I'm going to have to talk really fast. We're going to have other speakers from the Campbell Soup Company, Valvoline, and P&G. As we said at the end of January, how could we possibly top that? I think we have. Until next month, March, the SEC basketball tournament. Is a man excited? We need to have a revenge win over that Auburn University for sure. Stay tuned.